Create conditions that your enemy cannot overcome. Wait for the right opportunity and the right timing before beginning a battle so that you can put your opponent at the biggest disadvantage possible. You are the one who decides whether the battle is worth fighting. If you are not certain of victory, do not fight. I like that. You are the one who decides whether the battle is worth fighting. If you are not certain of a victory, do not fight. Victory is ultimately created by your opponent. He will do certain things that guarantees his defeat and your victory. Take advantage of them. You can create both offensively and defensively strategies that are insurmountable. Notice what Master Son is saying. In the West, most strategy books begin with the premise that you are the master of your destiny, in charge of your victory. This assumption is that you must be proactive to achieve success. Yet Son is saying that the victory is not your control, but rather the gift of your enemy. In other words, victory is assured when your enemy makes mistakes. Victory is assured when your enemy makes mistakes. Of course, it's up to you to pinpoint your enemy's weakness and exploit it. This is a much more realistic take on winning in a competitive situation. For those of you guys who may want to know, that's called The Art of War for Women. But there is a quote from Sun Tzu in The Art of War that says, victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. How does this relate to spiritual warfare, destiny swapping, and narcissistic abuse? A lot of people don't understand what they got going on with them in terms of their power and their authority, and you're not using it. So when he says win first before you go to war, what happens is you get ambushed, you get backed into a corner, you react, they exploit your reaction, and then they create a narrative around the reaction to take that on as a W, like they won. Look, they reacted, right? Then they'll drain that reaction for all it's worth. That's reactive abuse. They'll use that to do all kinds of things to people's lives. They'll take that one moment of weakness and they will exploit that and squeeze all the juice out of that one moment of weakness. And you can just watch it play out. And anybody that is a good soldier of life, you just step back and watch it, right? Yes, you're on the battlefield. Yes, you're going to war. And sometimes you will be the strongest soldier and have very few battle buddies, and the opposition and the other side got all kinds of manpower. You're outnumbered, you're out strategized, you're out resourced, all of that. But what you do have is God Almighty, and you have the will to win. And at first, you don't even know what am I winning? Because why am I fighting for my life when I have the right to exist because I'm here? Right? Like, what am I fighting for? Why are you even trying to go to war with me? You don't understand initially at first when it starts to happen. When you're in the beginning stages of warfare, you don't know what this is about. However, there is a burning desire. There is some type of will in your spirit, man, that still wants to go at it. Right? I still want to stay in the game of life. So I'm gonna see how this play out. I'm not about to throw in the towel on my life and give up on myself. So you still make a decision to stay on this planet and see how this is going to play out. And that's when many of us who are gifted by default, there is an innate pulling to just surrender to God. God becomes your commander. Okay, he's the one that becomes your commander that then starts to give you tactical approaches to combat your enemy. This is very spiritually military, you know, based. Okay, and you don't know nothing about war until you're in it. And once you surrender, like any good soldier would, you listen to God You become the third in command. You're not even the second in command, because the second in command is the ministry of Christ. The first in command is God Almighty, the true and living God. The second in command is Christ, because Christ's ministry to me is the greatest blueprint to really go to war. When you look at the ministry of Christ, you'll be able to navigate warfare from a psychological point of view, because a lot of what Christ did to me was spiritually mentalism. He was able to alchemize and transmute and get outside of his emotions, step into his faith, and demonstrate self-mastery like I've never seen anyone do ever. From any text, any sacred text, any stories told, no one has demonstrated the level of restraint like Jesus Christ when it comes to human emotions and navigating beyond persecution, crucifixion, suffering, groups of people harassing you, false narratives. Like, he really had to ascend beyond his feelings in order for him to carry out the prophecies. And that's the same thing with you, right? You can't you can't worry about the noise, because you have to keep in mind smear campaigns, slander, false narratives. Those are attempts to attach itself to your identity, so you will be provoked to do what? To participate in defending yourself against something that really doesn't exist. And if I can get you to do that, then I can distract you off of whatever it is that you were doing prior to. So that is another tactical approach to warfare. They use lies as an opportunity to distract you from whatever it is that you was trying to do. So if you stop doing what you're doing, you turn around, you come back here and you fight with me, I've slowed down your momentum, which allows me to distract you with somebody else, which is flying monkeys. So if I can get flying monkeys to get on board, and I get these people to start doing my dirty work through lies, then you'll start fighting with these people. It's called divide and conquer. So I can divide your attention to distract you. So it's not that they're dividing you from other people, they're dividing your attention and your concentration and your focus in life. So that you're looking over here, you're looking over there. You think that person out to get you? No, 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 they out to get you. No, no, they your enemy. No, it's your mama. No, it's your cousin. No, it's your sister. No, it's your coworker. You understand how the devil works? He will divide and conquer you from concentration, focus, attention, so you're not locked in. Once he divides you, you're placing the blame everywhere. And then the person who really is the head honcho, who really wants your spot in life, that person, they're moving at an accelerated pace beyond you, because they slowed you down by using your environment against you. So they surround you with enemies known and unknown. And that person, that one person, they start to move and create momentum. This is when they're able to get a better job. They're able to go to that school you really want to go to. They're able to get to the money or whatever it is. They can lock in because they have you distracted with all these people back here. You understand? Now that one person, they start to move past you, right? And you kind of know, you kind of get an inkling, but you really don't know. But you got so many people back there fighting you for that person that it's hard for you to even get to the head of the snake, because the body is fighting for the head, or that ringleader. And that person is the one that manipulated everything. They deceived everybody. They got everybody going to war. Sometimes people don't even know what they're warring for that person for. Okay, they don't even know why they're fighting for that individual. They don't even know that they're fighting for the individual. They don't even know that that person is their commander and their foot soldiers for this person to knock you out of your spot in life. They just maybe don't like you. Maybe they just want to see something bad happen to you anyway, because they maybe think you all of that, or you need to be humbled. It's all kind of strange hangups that people have for why they participate in things unjustified. And once you understand, okay, you watch the play, you're going through it, and you're watching the play, and you're watching all the moving parts. And once you decide, right, that, okay, I'm tired of taking these blows. I'm tired of having to recharge and fight, because this seems to be a never ending cycle, and I'm losing things in the process. You step back for a moment and you surrender. Once you surrender and you give it to God, that's when God will reveal the whole play to you, right? Initially, going back to what Sun Tzu has said, you're trying to win the war first, then he said, what he say? Victorious warriors win first, then go to war. While defeated warriors go to war, then seek to win. See, you're trying to fight back at first. That's what we call reactive abuse. Your reaction and you trying to throw your head in the ring to fight, you keep in mind you already are at a disadvantage. So that is when you're fighting, recharging, fighting and recharging. And while you're doing that, you're losing a lot of things in the process. And you're trying to figure out, why are you losing things? Well, you're losing things because you're at a low vibratory rate, which means energetically it creates some level of density. So you're heavy. You're too heavy to hold on to anything. Okay? All of the ancients talk about light as a feather. The lighter your mind is, the lighter your heart is, the lighter your spirit is. You can be in a receiving posture for life to give you more. Well, if you're occupied with heaviness, it seems as though you already have something in that seat, whether it is a broken heart, whether it is a occupied mind, whether it is a heavy spirit. That's why the Bible talks about be ye not weary in well doing. Why? Because God does not want you to have a weary spirit. Because if your spirit is weary, you won't be able to hear his voice or feel his presence to be able to get the divine instruction to carry out your mission in life. You're weary, you're heavy, you can't carry no more than what you got. And he will never put anything on you even anymore, because you're not going to be able to responsibly carry out whatever he's gifted you with. So he won't give you anything yet. And it'll seem like you're just losing. And in many ways, you are losing physical things because energetically you cannot contain or hold what you cannot hold because of the occupation of something else, which is what? Brokenheartedness, breaking your spirit, making you angry, got you in depression, got you in distress, got you in resentment, you angry with everybody. Your heart is broken and it's heavy. Your mind is occupied with anger and get back thoughts and wishing the worst for people who are hurting you and causing you pain. Your spirit is heavy. So things will just fall away from you. And it seems unfair. This is when we talk about destiny swapping and destiny altering. It's hard to lock in when you're distracted, confused, and in fog. And the person who wants to be you and possess what it is that you have, and they're trying to do it artificially. They're not doing it like divinely. No one can take what God has for you. So they're trying to do it artificially through manipulating the elements, manipulating the environment, manipulating life. That's why we call it the craft, because you're literally manipulating things and moving it around so it can look like the real thing, but it's not the real thing. Going back to what I said about the victory, it's a false victory because you got ambushed. It's not a real victory. So their time in the sun or in your light, that is a false victory. It's a false win. It's not real. So the way that you equal the playing field for real is you get out your feelings and you accept the L. Put your hands up and accept that moment. It's a season. It's not a lifetime. Once you put your hands up and say, you got me, then you surrender to the Most High. Yes, I am Miss Benjamin. It ain't over. It ain't over till the fat lady sing. It's not over. It's just getting good, right? You're in this painful position. You're suffering. You're fighting, and you're putting up a good fight. But keep in mind, it's too many disadvantages right now. Once you acknowledge that it's too many disadvantages, I'm outnumbered, I'm cornered on all sides. It's like I'm in the middle of a ring of fire. They set off too many fires for me to put them out. And this is what makes a good soldier. And this is what I love about God. Because then once you surrender, that's all he wanted you to do. That's why the Bible talks about vengeance is mine, thus saith the Lord. It's not your fight to fight right then and there. You can't even participate. You don't even have the strength. You don't even have the knowledge or the tactical approach to go to war. Because you don't even know what you're really up against. and what is up against you. And you don't know how devious and how dangerous and how treacherous this enemy really can get as it pertains to your life, your peace, your sanity, your destiny. But once you put your hands up and you surrender to the Most High God, and you say, God, you take the wheel on this, because I don't understand, and I don't know how to really navigate the terrain. I'm unfamiliar with the territory. I don't know all of the players, but it's a lot of moving parts, and it's tiring me out. Because you're human, you're mortal. Release. That's when God show you the whole play. He show you the whole play. He let you see behind the curtain what is happening, who's doing what, who's running the ship over there, who is the one that's in charge of giving the instructions to the people, what their positions are, what their objectives are, what are their agendas. He also will allow you to see them steps ahead of what they've already planned for you. These people are steps ahead. They've already ran the play months in advance, years in advance, in terms of your life, your children. They've already got it all mapped out. And once you understand that it is not about fighting all of these people, it's this one. I talk about the principality all the time. This one major principality that you're up against. Now, in order for you to understand your enemy, you must understand yourself. When somebody opposes you, it don't make no sense watching them, looking at them, wishing the worst for them, putting the evil eye on them. What you doing that for? You need to study yourself. Anytime somebody is trying to come up against you and try to make it seem like you're a weak person and they're going to victimize your life, you need to step back and see where you need to tighten up at. This is where you go through self-discovery and introspection. Where am I strong? Where am I weak? Then you have to defeat yourself before you can even get on that battlefield and go up against this opposition. That means that you have to be honest about yourself. What areas of your life making you vulnerable for these hits? How are these people effectively able to hit you in the way that they are to destabilize you and disarm you as it pertains to your life? And I can guarantee you're going to find out that you lack a lot of discipline. And it's the areas where there's a lack of discipline, structure, and order that they are able to set an intention, an incantation, and attach it to you. Those are the areas where you are vulnerable. So if you are a very emotional person, right? Maybe you have some childhood issues. Maybe you haven't forgiven your mother. Maybe you haven't forgiven your father. Maybe, you just deal with some things that no one can see. Maybe you have, issues, assault or whatever, anything that took place in your childhood. And you're very well an adult. That's making you vulnerable and susceptible to people ambushing you and people attacking you all the time and it being effective because you have an emotional imbalance. Also, you have to look at your mind. Are you an overthinker? Or do you overanalyze life? Do you think too much? Are you in your head way too much? What I love about the Bible says, lean not on your own understanding. Sometimes you are way too cerebral. You think too much. You're too smart for your own good. Okay? You tap too much into your logic and not enough into your sensitivity. That can also be a vulnerable place where it's a weakness. So once you sit back and you study yourself, your highs and your lows, your strengths and your weaknesses, and you make it a concerted effort to address those things and to maximize your strengths and minimize your weaknesses, that's when you'll start noticing the momentum starts to shift in terms of the energy. You didn't even have to lift a finger to your enemy until you actually conquered yourself, because the enemy's going to keep on attacking on the outside. They're going to keep throwing rocks at your house, throwing rocks at your throwing pebbles at your house, stones, screaming, come outside, mob attacking you. This is what we call the flying monkeys and the slander and the smear campaign. Like, they're gonna keep doing that. That's not gonna stop. But that's like outside of your house. That's just like somebody, a big old mob of people, because it's an energetic mob. So it's a big old mob of people throwing stones at you, trying to provoke you to come out and go to war with them. They're not gonna stop doing that. But when you make a decision that, no, I'm not going out there, I'm gonna go in, I'm going to find refuge within. That's when you tap within yourself and start working on yourself. Because for as long as you do not work on yourself, your enemy is going to keep being able to win every battle against you. Because you have a lot of weaknesses and you have a lot of vulnerable areas that are not shielded. You're wide open. You have too many issues. You're emotionally unstable. You may be mentally unstable. You may be spiritually unstable. And it's important to acknowledge that. Once you can acknowledge that, then you can do the work. That's what we call trauma digging, shadow work, whatever terms you want to use. I'm not a person who go toe to toe with people about linguistics. I don't care. Shadow work, trauma digging, childhood trauma digging. This is what we call the healing journey. Why are you healing from things? And though you're 30, you're 40, you're 50, why? Because these things are affecting your quality of life. Even though time has passed on, you're still wounded. You're still wounded. So Satan, or what you want to call the devil, or any opposition, especially a negative opposition opposing your success or your progress in life, is going to keep attacking you in the area where you're wounded. And it's going to make you weaker and weaker and weaker. And this is why the Bible talks about forgiveness so much. This is why the Bible talks about releasing and surrendering and giving it to God so much. Because once you start to do these things, you are literally creating a light, energetic aura for yourself. You're releasing a lot of that heavy burden on your armor. You can't shield yourself and have no real strong armor if it's so much stuff you carrying on your back. It's slowing you down. Childhood trauma slowing you down. Issues with men and women slowing you down. Issues with your mother and your father, some things that they did or didn't do, slowing you down. Whatever it was that altered your life and caused you trauma that you're still holding on to, these are like bags on your armor. So as you are moving in life, you just dragging this stuff like a ball and chain, and it's slowing down your momentum for progress and success and victory in life. And it's making your enemy, it's helping your enemy attack you more effectively and continuing to be able to get ahead of you because you got too many bags you carrying, too many burdens. And that's what unhealed trauma and all of that stuff does. But once you get to working on yourself and you get to healing and you get to paying attention to your mental state, your emotional state, and your spiritual health, and you sit in the presence of God and you let God, mend your broken heart and put the pieces back together in terms of your mind and get your mindset back balanced. And he recalibrate your soul and get you back at a equal playing field within yourself. That's when, as I said, the play that he runs to you, you will be able to navigate it. So what happens is you spend all that time while you were getting thrown, all that stuff or whatever, and you worked on yourself and you've released a lot of things that cannot go with you to the next level of your life, or whether it's your spiritual growth, emotional growth, mental growth, whatever, financial growth, professional growth. When you make a decision, now I'm not carrying this stuff no more because it's leaving me open to be attacked. I release it all. I forgive and I release. Soon as you do that, now you can step outside that door confident, even with that mob being there. Keep in mind, they started a war with you. You didn't start a war with them. And we're not talking about physical. We're talking about spiritual and physical form. Now you have the confidence because you don't have a whole lot of stuff on your armor. You armored up. You ready now. You've gotten a lot of your own personal issues out the way. You've conquered much of your own enemies within. So now you're ready to face the enemy without or outside of yourself. Now I'm ready. This is when Sun Tzu says in the Art of War, victorious warriors win first and then they go to war. While defeated warriors try to fight first and then seek to win, this is what happened at first when they ambush you. You try to find a way because it's your human nature, because of preservation. The first law of nature is preservation. You try to fight back through reacting to the ambush. That's what made you vulnerable, because they were able to exploit that mistake you made, and then they turned it into other things against you. But when you step back and God ran the play, you were able to surrender, and you were able to see that there is a whole lot of enemies within me. Okay? I am my friend, but I am also my enemy. And I need to address the enemy within myself. So I have to conquer that which is trying to conquer me by conquering parts of myself. That's when you face your own demons and you slay them and you put them to rest. Because if I slay my own demons, then I come out of agreement and covenant with Satan and his agenda for my life. That's when you put down addictions and vices and hangups and personal biases and prejudices that you have within yourself. That's slaying demons. So once you decide to slay the demons, you're coming out of agreement with Satan and his kingdom and what he really has been trying to use against you, which is your own personal addictions, which was vices, which is maybe some thought processes you had, but they were all weak and they were all holding you down and anchoring you down. And once you work through them, you've conquered it. Now, as I said, you have divine confidence to face your opposition now. Because if I've already conquered the weaknesses within myself, it's easy for me to see the weaknesses within you. I can see you. Because if I can see me, my highs and lows, I can surely see you and your highs and lows. And once you go out there and you face that mob, it's unexpected, okay? Because no one was expecting for you to ever show up to the fight, because you were avoiding for so long. So while they were doing all of that, they was charged up by you not fighting back. So they thought, okay, it's over. This is our victory. And then they just got into this habit of just attacking you relentlessly without any interference. Okay, so it looked like they were winning. But once you step out, you're equaling the playing field. Because you said, I'm not running. What's up? What's up? Here I am. Do you know that puts a person at a disadvantage? It feels good when you think you're bullying and kicking a person when they're not fighting back. You don't even know what's going on with the person. You don't know why they're not fighting back, right? You don't even know it's a setup for a victory. You don't have the thought process to do that, to come to this understanding that maybe the person isn't fighting back because they know they've already won. No, most people don't think that, because they're on an ego trip and they're prideful. So many people just use their eyes to see, and then they'll just make an assessment and conclude that it's over by what they can see. And according to the way it looks, you're at a disadvantage. And there's no way that you can come back. If you look at anybody that plays any competitive sport, if one team is behind so many points in the game and it's only maybe a quarter or so left, many people do not believe that you can come back from how far behind you are. So once they ambush you and knock you so far behind, it's hard for people to conceive that you would ever be able to get ahead or tie the score up or anything. And that's the beautiful thing about God. He operates in the realm of the element of surprise. He likes to use the last minute to blow people away. God is a very, very interesting force. He will use the last second on the clock to blow people away. And that's how he shows to others that he is God. That you thought that you won a false victory because you were only in the war by yourself, right? It appeared that no one was fighting. The person that you made a decision to target, to create a victim out of, did not appear to be fighting back. So it's easy to appear as though you're winning a fight when no one's fighting back. This is what we call, quote unquote, bullies. I don't really like to use that word, to be honest with you, because I don't like bullies. They're real cowards, for real. Bullies are really cowards. Okay. They can't really square up for real. But they try to position themselves like this, some type of bully, and they try to manipulate the environment around the target to victimize someone, to intimidate them to believing that they're more powerful than they really are. Now, once God come into the mix of this, and this person has conquered their own demons and been able to see every angle of their strengths and weaknesses, they can surely see whatever they need to see outside of themselves. This is what makes them an amazing warrior.